Now. Welcome to Expert Views on ADR Ever, a podcast about simplifying the traditional African method of settling disputes or the appropriate dispute resolution ADR in a bid to attract more users to settle their disputes or conflicts with mediation, arbitration, collaborative law, restorative justice, negotiation, conciliation, adjudication, and of course, early neutral evaluation. My name is DrChinweEgbunike, a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Brighton, United Kingdom, and the fellow of the American Bar Association section of Dispute Resolution. I am delighted to welcome Robert Bergman to the EVA show. He is the CEO of nextlevelmediation.com. Bob has 55 years of experience in decision sciences, software, engineering, business strategy, simulation, system dynamics, modeling, and market research. His background and years of experience in applying quantitative decision methodologies at Intel to improve international standards, negotiations, and strategic business decisions brings a unique perspective to mediating business-to-business disputes. He wears many hats, so I've left a link to his profile below. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
It's such an honor
having
you. Same here. Thank you so very much for honoring the invitation. So without further ado, the first question is, what is the concept behind the nextlevelmediation.com?
Well, considering my background in decision science, when we looked at the whole system of disputes, we decided that the resolution of a dispute was really a multi-criteria decision between two or more parties that have either opposing or different agendas. And therefore, we could apply some of the tools that exist in group decision-making within the context of decision science. And so the basic idea was to help people make logical decisions as opposed to emotionally driven decisions. Unfortunately, humans have evolved not to rely on logic, but make emotional decisions and then use logic to rationalize the decision, as opposed to making a logical decision. And therefore, in a dispute, which creates lots of emotions, people seem to regress to emotional decision-making as opposed to logical decision-making. And therefore, the whole idea is to help mediators and their participants make short or large or longer term logical decisions. And that's kind of the basic concept.
Oh, okay. Thank you so very much. So, so how does it work? Is it I know it's a software. Could you say it's an AI as well? And how can it dictate emotions of parties and conflict? How does it really work per se?
Okay, this is a little longer discussion, but yeah. So it combines AI and decision science. So first, let's talk about the AI. The AI is there basically to help the mediator. We divided AI into three categories: assistance, augmentation, and automation, what we call kind of the AAA of AI. And given the current non-deterministic responses you might get from the current large language models, we decided that the safest thing was only to provide assistance or augment the skills of the mediator, but not to directly interface to clients that are in dispute. Primarily because it can provide misinformation. And this way, we always have a human in the loop, which is the mediator, to make sure that the responses make sense for the given dispute. So in that context, it helps the mediator generate questionnaires, generate models, analyze the results of questionnaires, and things like that. But it does not do anything automatically or provide any sense of a decision for a client. Now, the decision science part is there to help people make longer term logical decisions. Unfortunately, most people tend to be strangers in their own future. Your brain just does not work that way. There's a disconnect in terms of seeing yourself 3 or 4 years from now. So a lot of times people have to make decisions with lots of variables and don't have any tools to help make those decisions. Unfortunately, the way your brain works, it can only really compare 2 things with any intensity. And so if you're looking at 3, 4, 5 different variables, you can't do that as a human. And you need the tools. And unfortunately, disputes, especially things where you have to make personal decisions, are much more complex than abstract, maybe business decisions. And so that in general is how we use the tools. And what we're trying to do, if you look at disputes, is that disputes cause people to want to win, let's say a plaintiff to win, and a plaintiff possibly with a representative positions over positions, which causes a reaction on the defendant's side, which causes that to over position. You get into this kind of feedback loop of emotions. And so the way we attack the problem is to get people's feet on the ground in terms of litigation risk. That's one of the tools, so that you don't have some linguistic view of the chances of winning, which is, oh yeah, there's a good chance of winning, which doesn't really have a probability statement with it, right? And then there's what do you really want through the cloud of emotion? Because if you can settle now and avoid the cost of litigation and the risk involved in litigation, and these are your highest priorities through that kind of cloud of emotion, then the mediator can help make a better logical decision. And that's kind of the way it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much. So do you think there is a buy-in for ADL, hence the creation of this app or software, sorry?
Well, I think there's an increasing buy-in for alternate dispute resolution, whether it's mediation or arbitration or just compromise, negotiation, just various forms. Mainly one, because it's cost effective. Litigation is expensive. There's been a kind of an exponential rise of cases with the digitization of the economy. And unfortunately, the judicial system is very labor intensive as it exists today, and that does not scale with the number of cases. So you have increasing backlogs all throughout the world. And unfortunately, justice delayed is justice denied. And so I think there'll be an increasing effort to handle these cases outside of court. Besides the fact, in the US alone, over 98% of cases are settled out of court anyway. So it's just a matter of how much time and money you want to waste until you settle. So I think those are why it's going to drive ADR worldwide, essentially.
All right, thank you. So, to what extent has the software enhanced access to justice?
Well, like I said, you can get people who are in a highly emotional state. Don't forget this, like I said, disputes generate emotion, emotion hijacks logic, and no matter how smart people are, they seem to regress the logic of a child, okay, which is, I want justice, you should be punished. Right. And so because you're in that emotional state, you either will settle sooner than you should or take a long time to settle because you didn't get that extra, whatever, 10 pounds of remuneration, right? And so the problem is that, and where it's been effective, is getting people to realize, one, what their real priorities are. Because a lot of times your brain doesn't naturally prioritize anything. You just go around through, for example, if you're if you're in your bedroom and you want to go get something in your kitchen, and along the way you see something out of place, you'll just veer off and go do that, and then go
Yeah.
veer something else off. You don't naturally prioritize things. And most people don't know their own priorities, at least from a logical point of view, because you can't do that in your head. And the nice thing about the software, it points out where you're not being logical. Okay, so it helps the mediator
Awesome.
move people to longer term logical decisions. So where it benefits is that you're not wasting time going to 2-3 years in litigation when the probability of winning what you want is minute. And then even if you win something, the probability of collecting it is even less. Okay. And then you have this unfortunate problem that you don't know initially what your real priority is. And we found in cases that we've used it, people who thought their priority was getting more money, their actual priority was not spending any more time, in disclosures or in, in other forms of the legal process, being exposed to expert witnesses, listening to testimony. The emotional toll was much more, reducing the emotional toll was much more important, for example, than getting a certain amount of money. So it's that where the tools become very effective in helping people make a little longer term settlement that makes more sense. So.
So it enhances access to justice. Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Right,
so very much.
exactly. And access to justice, in fact, because now that there's been a migration to online,
Yeah.
probably driven by COVID and other problems, um, what's interesting is that there are, there are no real tools to help people do the online other than video conferencing. And people took their physical practice and moved it into a virtual practice, but didn't do anything else.
Oh,
And there are lots of disadvantages of doing that. And I think people now can get better results using more advanced tools and not worry so much about some of the inefficiencies of video conferencing. So.
okay. Thank you so very much. So, the most important question is, how safe and confidential are practitioners' data? Or would
Yeah,
be
so
practitioners? Yeah.
cybersecurity and confidentiality are very
Mm.
critical in general to various forms of alternative dispute resolution, right? And in fact, one of the reasons why it's so hard to implement AI
Yeah.
is because there's not a lot of labeled data out there. It was all confidential. So
Mhm.
to train things, right? So in our system, basically, all the data that is inputs for participants, once they're authenticated on the system, are kept encrypted on Microsoft Azure servers. So even if you broke into Microsoft Azure, all the data is already encrypted. Communication between the computers, the front ends, and the back ends, the servers, is all encrypted along the way.
Okay.
And then there is also role-based security. So if you're a participant, you can only see your own stuff. If you're a mediator, you can see both participants. And there's really no way, for instance, of breaking through that, at least not with a lot of effort and a lot of time. And so given that, typical mediations are not lasting years so that you can break into the encryption, then it's pretty safe and confidential.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay. So, how can ADR practitioners register?
okay, so just go to nextlevelmediation.com. And then you go to login, and then it'll take you to a page where you can register your email and passwords. It'll then send back notification to your email, just so it makes sure providing the right email. And the system now allows for 30-day free trial.
Okay.
You don't have to put in credit card information or anything. Just can use it for free for 30 days.
Oh,
It also includes free classes that are online as well to learn how to use the system. And the system, the other way it uses AI, it has a support bot built in. So you can have conversations with the bot, ask it how to do things, and it'll give you pretty good answers. So
okay. All right. So what is the way forward for the mass advocacy of ADR?
yeah, well, I think the likelihood that the judicial system will be reformed anytime soon, given, political environment in different countries, is pretty low. So, and I think what's going to happen is people are going to get fed up with the backlog and the time it takes to get anything done. And therefore, it's going to drive people to more alternative dispute resolution. And it's not a new concept, really. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years. People have, resolved disputes outside of legal systems. And I think once people feel a little more comfortable, understand that they can get better results or just as good results without the aggravation of litigation and the stress, then I think, it'll have a natural adoption rate. And you can also see efforts for standardization happening both in the European Union, in the US, and other places for mediation, and some form of regulation, which has not been really there yet. And I think once it becomes more structured, you'll also get a little more use of alternative dispute resolution. So.
Okay, thank you. So what is the future of international legal research via podcasts, particularly in ADR?
Well, I think it helps take complex concepts, which are in a lot of different ways, the way laws are written. They're not written in a way where the average person can actually understand it, and understand how to apply it to their situation. And I think podcasts can help take complex ideas and reduce them to more straightforward concepts that people can understand and grasp. And so I think that in general helps research, because research also needs feedback. And if your audience doesn't understand it, you're not going to get much feedback. So as a rule. So
You're right. Okay, so can you tell me more about the aims and objectives of nextlevelmediation.com?
yeah, so the whole idea is, if you look at, when I looked at it, as an engineer, mathematician, said, okay, well, dispute seems to be a growing international market, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to go away anytime
No,
soon. And
it's
so,
never ending process. So it's here to
uh,
stay. So
yeah, it's here to stay. So if I want to make contributions, after whatever, a lot of years of work in technology, if I want to make contributions, this looks like a good area to start applying knowledge. And so the mission really is to get people to resolve disputes more logically, and not continue to fight, create wars, all this stuff. And so for me, it's more about contributions to humanity in a way. So, I mean, right now we're in a period, of human civilization where the biggest threat to humans is humans. And so hopefully
100%.
we can make a dent in that. So.
All right. Thank you so very much for sharing your insights and perspectives and all the learning you shared with us. I truly appreciate you. coming on this show to, give us detailed insights on how AI, yes, next level mediation software can help parties and mediators and settle disputes. I believe that potential users would embrace all you have stated herein and opt for ADR whenever the need arises. And of course, practitioners, ADR practitioners as well, would also embrace all you have said and register with nextlevelmediation.com as soon as possible. All right. Thank you so very much, Bob, for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Bye. You have a lovely day. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.